Javi and Cloudy, like, these are players that have been playing for forever. Like, I've been seeing them for like 5+ years, just becoming a lot better and better and constantly challenging each other. And this just feels like a good showcase of what Mexico City's level brings to the table. And again, I'm very glad that we get to share it with the rest of the world. So here, Nair is sticking with the Ridley, not trying for the hero, and the Roy on the part of Javi.
One thing for sure, now that you mentioned that currently Mexico City, or at least Area Metropolitana, metropolitan area, it's one of the strongest, if not the strongest region in the whole country. What I want to offer to that conversation is that it has once again arisen. People are still discussing whether or not this is actually the best region. The one thing for sure that I can just put into that conversation, we have 4 out of top 10 Mexican players in this weekly. Isn't that enough for the conversation? This is a weekly that is being celebrated in the metropolitan area, and there's our current top 4. They are 4 out of the top 10 of the whole country.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I'm actually quite surprised that this guy didn't manage to break into it. I know he's a great challenger for these guys, but all these guys know each other so well, and it just comes down to who can clutch up in that certain day. As Nair clutches up that first stock, and here, just trying to get control of the air once more, goes for the next combo. He's gone for it. Yes, of course, you knew the positioning was right there, and that'll be very, very deadly, super important, and as strong as Spike. And what an answer that from Javi. Like, I am confident enough that I'm just going to stand in your face, and I'm going to forward smash, and then I'm going to get the side B. Finally bringing things a little bit closer to even, but he's still going to need a few combos more to actually make that a reality.
A little few more entrances to make it happen. One thing for sure is that even though we already saw before that Nair has a lot to offer whenever it comes to edgeguard, Javi's managing to be one step ahead and either jump in a specific timing that's not favorable for Nair, or it's straight up just not going for anything, and Nair not going for anything. Because at the end of the day, not teching is also an option. I mean, I'm using that as an example, but not backing, not going for a jump, not recovering high, it's an option just not to do anything.
The Nair is playing very clean, and Javi is falling for the Ridley tricks, like just staying in versus the Space Pirate Rush. The buffs, perhaps? Oh, he's going for it again. Finally, it worked! I cannot believe that is the first time that you'll ever see a Ridley downer kill. I have never actually seen that, and the fact that Nair just knows how to do for that cover is like, I am not going to get enough time to try the up B, so I have to go for the downer, and perhaps fail miserably, because like I was saying earlier, that move is just straight up doesn't work. I mean, he gets it, and he gets it in style. Nair playing very clean. Meister, I think that if we see a second and dominant game here from Nair, Meister could be shaken a little bit, right? Like, Nair has beaten him before.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. We could see the Nair losers run, but both of these guys want their revenge versus Meister. Javi falling in winners finals, and Nair in semis, actually right after beating Cloudy in winners. And we do see the switch. Javi, no strange to switching out to try to mix it up. I mean, if Proto Banham could do it, then why not him?
Of course, and it's actually, I mean, if you have the fundamentals to play off Roy and be able to manage to get in every single time against your opponent, of course Roy is going to work. But if you are facing against a specialist on edgeguard and you have the chance to chain up to Lucina, who's actually a little bit more reliable on getting back into the stage than Roy, then of course it's just the logical option, and that's exactly what Javi's showcasing us. It's not just about who's more skilled, but it's actually who outsmarts the other in how to play the long game, and Javi's just trying that out, and it's not exactly working out in his favor so far.
I mean, I act surprised as if I didn't know that up smash covers pretty much the entire platform, but yeah. I mean, again, and as you were saying, I do believe that Roy does give Ridley a little bit of trouble just because of how his up B is angled as far as recovery goes. But of course, like, you have to know that Nair knows how to deal with that. I mean, we did see it. So here, I don't blame Javi for trying to mix it up, just bring something different to the table. And Nair was bringing something very, very different with that forced SD at that point. Like, I mean, like the up B height was not enough. He tries for the second one. I'm surprised Javi didn't try to punish that. I mean, I know that he is sure that he has the time to do so, even if Ridley's up B hitbox is like quite ginormous. But here, look at those conversions from Ridley again, and the ledge trapping not present this time around. Nair trying to go for the hardest read, but didn't get much in exchange. And again, if Javi is not falling for those reads, then Nair has to come in clean, and Javi is gonna steal that stock away.
Once again, it's Nair against the ropes, but we have seen that before. It's no surprise to anyone that even though Nair is against the ropes, he somehow manages to use them to get momentum back. You cannot corner this man unless he corners himself, and that's exactly what Nair is showcasing. But Javi still has the upper hand. He still has all the advantage, and it's up to Javi just to walk him out and wait for the game to play in his favor.
The combo, he tried for it. Javi delaying that jump ever so slightly to be able to avoid that. The parry into the second punish. Like, if Ridley can cover something very well, definitely are those platforms with both the up tilt and the up smash. Nair is gonna get the gift of center stage and not trying for it once more, just for the 2-frame with the 4 tilt. Very, very good tool to do so. Javi showing his cards a little too early, perhaps, with those options on the shield, and Nair showing their respect, but he is going to lose the stock versus that Nair. Just one of the only moves that Lucina has that actually lingers for a little bit, able to cover and don't allow Ridley to go back into the center, because, I mean, that could have been very disastrous. The last game ended up with quite the style this time around. Javi showing the composure. It doesn't matter if it's not with Roy. If I can do it with another one of my characters, then I will. So very good stuff from him. Of course, the set very far from being over just yet. This is still losers finals, and there's still Meister and Grands.
Yeah, of course. It's not even the final boss. We have these back and forth matches between these two players, but it's not even like it's not even the final boss. There's something else, something bigger, something even more menacing waiting up on the other side of the grand finals, and they are up to decide who is gonna reach him, who is gonna have that chance to actually face and challenge Meister, who's already waiting very much patiently and fondly in his current winner's place. And currently we see that Javi is actually taking the upper hand from the very first 15 seconds of this match.
The very first start, and that is what the Javi fans wanted to see on the other side. Nair fans are willing for this to become an edge guard, and Javi coming back aggressively. I love the decision from him. He knows he has to swing to make it back, and he does. And just stealing the momentum away. Nair is going to have to work very hard for this, but Javi might just give him that after that questionable way to make it back into the stage. I mean, that things just keep getting more and more complex as time progresses here in Ultimate. Javi, though, going for this ledge jump once more, trying to threaten with the backer or just that zone, and going for it again, just the traits left and right, and both of these guys at kill percent pretty much, though Ridley definitely suffering a little more. Perfect air dodge from Nair to make it back. I mean, this first stock is going to be very important, but both whiffs, and is Javi who is going to be able to get ahead. Yeah,
and one thing for sure that I want to point out is the fact that it's not up to no surprise. Javi is handling such a perfect and reliable spacing against Nair, but these type of specific situations or decisions that Javi just keeps taking that are ever so risky against Nair, that's exactly what Nair takes advantage of the most. It's just Javi using up B out of shield or just trying to recover a little bit higher than the ledge to avoid that 2-frame that just keeps getting Nair these opportunities to take advantage of. But this is faking the chance on Nair. He's just gonna look for that 2-frame, nothing to avail, and once again taking the lead on the center of the stage, just waiting for something to happen.
And very good jump discipline so far. Like, Javi knows when to expend it. Nair trying to clip their recovery. And both of these guys, again, the whiffs left and right. Beautiful recovery once more. Both of these guys challenging each other, bringing themselves to their limits to be actually forced an option from the opponent. Once again, like, Nair just making miracles happen here and knowing his angles pretty much. Like, he knows exactly when he has to go for the up B instead of side B, and vice versa. But here, yeah, the kill is going to show itself coming on the part of Nair. However, let's see if Javi managed to close it in or if it's really going to get a ton more percent, because, I mean, he totally could do just that.
I'm getting actually really nervous looking at Javi's decision-making with those up Bs out of shield. I reckon that it's an actually very good option out of shield, but I'm not entirely certain whether he whiffs its word for it. I mean, look at how many times Javi has been punished by using that up B out of shield. It's just not worth going for it ever if your opponent is actually able to challenge them ever so often.
I mean, that force would have been devastating as well. And let's see if something comes more often than that forward tilt, which Javi has been using to great effect throughout this entire tournament. That is the Nair, and the jump was saved, of course. I was just talking about that, but the angle is terrible, and the fireballs are going to come in. Nair had to pull the trigger right there, and the tech is present as well. That is a very dangerous option. If Nair has to go for those low recoveries, the counter becomes undeckable very, very quick. So he has to respect that type of option coming in. But the second Space Pirate Rush from coast to coast should absolutely do it. And I mean, he just gets dragged. The percent difference was too high for Javi to actually try to mash out. And it is very, very... I think it's... The maximum threshold is like when there's a 70% difference between both of the characters, the other one being higher than Ridley. It's just pretty much like situation where you're just not gonna mash out, not realistically at least.
That's something that it always gets me confused, you know, because at the beginning of Ultimate, people they were discussing, yeah, you can actually mash out a space fire brush, right?
Yeah, you can.
And then at the middle of Ultimate, they said no, you can't actually mash out of a space fire rush whenever you're at disadvantage on percent against Ridley. And then people started to say you actually can mash out, but it's basically test level at this point, so I'm not actually certain or sure about that, and I don't think it actually matters at this point, looking at how Nair is handling Javi without the side B in play.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, to just be clear, it just depends completely on the percent.
Yes.
And here, Ridley once more getting that dash attack. Nair trying to go for the next one. He almost saves him, actually. But, I mean, I think he was ready to go for even an aerial off stage just to be able to close that stock out. Javi with a beautiful downer. I thought he was going to get a conversion right after, but still managing to take the air control and more so the reaction, from Javi after those defensive options from Nair. Getting control of the air, very important here. And I mean, really pretty much has the range of a sortie with his tail, right?
Yeah,
so that is something that Javi has to look out for when he is at the advantage. And trying to challenge that. Nair is spending some jumps and getting the perfect angle once more. Those have been so useful for him throughout this entire tournament. And I mean, if he can just keep living to this percent, things are looking very good for him, not only in this set, but maybe in Grand Finals.
One thing that I keep noticing is the fact that even though, this is a day one commentator thing to say, you know, Ridley is just too big, right? Like Rob is just too big. But one thing that I want to point out of that is the fact that even though Ridley is so big, Javi is having just so many struggles to get any single blow or hit against Ridley. If it was not for the certain counter to actually challenge that up B, probably Javi could have taken at least 30 more seconds trying to hit Ridley in this whole game.
I mean, counters are very deadly in that position, regardless. I mean, I've seen Palutena's weak-ass counter just murder Ridley at like 50% off stage, so not surprising that Javi knows when to pull the trigger versus that type of option, even though at that point it just felt like Nair was stalling a little bit off stage. And I mean, he is getting that.
No
I
jump.
think he is
No jump.
about to punch his ticket into Grand Finals, but not getting the forward tilt just right in time when he needed it. But no more invincibility right there for Javi. The recovery is still there. Don't worry, Lucina is not going to be able to make it in time right there. Javi still has a fighting chance, but he has to play pretty much perfect at this point and threaten Ridley in that type of position. I love what he did, just knowing that he has to go off stage, that he has to make this type of play and getting control, not letting off, keeping Ridley by the air. But let's see if Nair is able to finally get the reset and take the advantage of that, or is Javi going to bring it to a game number 5?
It's looking quite good for Javi, actually. It's looking actually plausible. I think it is possible at this point if Javi keeps playing the way that he's currently doing so. Not exactly supporting something with the neutral, but actually baiting Nair to do something, to go for something. Javi just kept his distance, looking for that one chance that Nair with something. And that's exactly how you gotta play out at this point. If you don't have the advantage and you have to fish out for something, then you put out the bait, you put out the lure. And that's exactly what Javi did.
Wow, Javi just buckling down, getting the right moves at the right times. I mean, it all really comes down to it. Sounds awfully simplistic, I know, but just being able to do it when you're in a tournament environment, that is an entirely different beast.
Different story.
So yeah, and Javi here just forcing Ridley. I know both of these guys like Town and City, so they are fighting here. The anti-air with the up tilt. That was almost a force smash, and that maybe would have been a stock. Not enough room to the eye right there. Javi getting everything he needs right now. The same Nair murdering Ridley after with that force smash.
And we are looking at quite different Nair. I've seen that he's been proposing too many things aggressively within the neutral. He's just not looking as patient as he was before during this set. He's just going for things that he was not doing before.
He should
and
be dead.
I think that he's lacking all the jumps to get back into the stage. He's not gonna make it back. That's the last stocks for Nair set. If he is not able, he doesn't manage to get this stock league against Javi, then this pretty much seals it. Javi's gonna make it back against Meister. That's up to Nair to decide.
Wow, and Javi finally baiting out those Space Pirate Rush. That is the answer versus that type of command grab, just forcing Nair to go for these risky plays, get this light off. Luckily, if not, that would have maybe been some more very dangerous percent or just an awful position off stage. And we've seen that Javi is willing to go all the way out there and challenge Ridley, even in spite of the longer recovery and the multiple jumps. The spacing has been immaculate here from Javi, just knowing exactly where to cover and going for the next one. I think he wanted to drop into the counter, but didn't actually manage to get it. This is all extra credit. This is all like giving Javi the peace of mind that even if he loses the stock, he can just straight up go for a raw aerial on the next one, and it's looking tougher and tougher. This game number 5 is going to go the way of Javi in a very dominant fashion to finish, so he is going to be facing versus Meister on the Grand Finals, who's been sitting pretty right there for quite a while now. And I mean, valiant effort from Nair. He was playing quite well, but not enough this time around. Javi, the fact that he managed to just keep himself composed, and even though he was getting somewhat rocked in a couple of those games, and I mean, he is still one of